How are you doing today, Isaiah?
Good. This week's been a lot of fun. I know we were talking today about some of the challenges in the job market. I think one thing you said to me a few sessions ago is um, it can be tough when you hear a lot of people's tough stories.
Oh my
And
God.
you have to be very kind of positive and can do while also being realistic with the person. How do you navigate that?
There's two pieces of this, right? There's the personal piece, which for us, we, I assume you're similar to me in that I take on my clients' fears and
Sure.
I have to stop myself and say, wait, that's what they're experiencing, but I can't take it on. I used to take it on and it was very heavy to do so. On the flip side, I also, I always want to let them know that don't it may be ugly out there, but even in the darkest of days throughout history, people still got up. They provided
Right.
for their family. They made a living. Even in the worst of times, it was possible. And we look around and this is an amazing time. And we can't lose of that.
It's true.
And business continues to take place. Business continues to happen. And there will always be opportunity for people who can get the job done, who can step up to the plate, who can solve issues, who can see the bigger picture, who can make things happen. So, and that's the one thing I don't want anyone to forget. And that's something that I do try when I talk to my clients, when I talk to people who just call me because they need help. And it's not even my clients, but they need some motivation. They need some inspiration. That's something I do try to impart to them. How about yourself? I mean, you're in
Yeah.
it with me. It's ugly out there. How are you helping people?
I think when you say that, I was thinking of my grandma. My grandma was born in the UK, and I always remember the story she said about during World War II when they got bombed. Anyway, I'm just like, we're not getting bombed. I mean, some people in the world are, but we're not getting bombed as we're going out and trying to find a job. And the people, it depends on what kind of personality type that you're working with. You have to find a way to reach them. Like some
Mhm.
people, they will want to challenge you. It's almost like they want you to say, "You're right. There's no hope.
Yeah.
You should quit. It's over." I'll actually use that as kind of like a joke to change a person's state sometimes when we're teaching to a larger group because they'll get into that mode of like, no, I can't because of this. Well, my situation is different. I can't. And then they're mad at you for trying to be positive. Like that's their
Yeah.
initial reaction because they're like, no, there's no positivity here. But the only other option is you either race to the bottom and focus on all the negative things, or you try to find solutions. Trying to get them to a point, like even just explaining that rationale can help. Here's what I'm doing. Data is not good. You have these challenges, but we have to focus on solutions. And people have, with a very similar combination, overcome that too. So trying to put it together in that way.
Yeah. You've got to put your blinders on.
Yeah.
And I think there's some good truth to that. People are always going to give you advice. People are always going to tell you what it looks like. And
Sure.
you almost have to put your blinders on and just keep going down your path. See the vision that you're heading towards and just steadfast move towards it. And this is something that I love. I get this often. I'll say, they'll say, oh gosh, it's ugly. It's terrible. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'll say, tell me about your job search. What does it look like? What have you done? I, I've put in 3 applications.
It's true. True. Thresholds. So thresholds matter. Like if your expectation is to put in 3 applications and get hired, expectations will kill your motivation and de-energize you. But if somebody came along, we talked about this before, it's just psychological anchors. If somebody said, no person will ever get hired without uploading 1,000 targeted applications. If that was like a rule that it was a set rule that
Mhm.
became codified, all of a sudden you'd be like, oh, I sent in 3. Like, of course I'm not hired. And people don't even know like the realistic numbers. There's some good numbers out there. None of them can be completely accurate because the job search changes so much, but I try to tell them, like, look, there's a range of usually if a resume is high quality, like 20 to 80 resumes, meetings
Yeah.
about 50. And then you'll get the other crowd that's like, I uploaded hundreds of resumes. I'm like, but did you change any of the resume?
Yeah.
No, I just spammed them everywhere. And those, it's always a quantitative game and a qualitative game. So, but if you could describe that rationale in a way that, again, people understand, they're looking for hope, but it's like they want to challenge you and kick your shins as you're giving them that hope but you do have an effect. Like, I don't know if you have siblings, so you talk to them and try to motivate them in certain ways, and they're your siblings. So you're like, you stop talking. I've heard everything out of your mouth before because you can't reach them. But then you see, maybe it takes 10 years that they take on some of that advice. And so they were actually listening. So I think when you're trying to help people in any way, that's what you have to do. And you got to be very strong, I think, mentally to do that, because otherwise you'll start questioning your own belief system and be like, man, maybe they can't do it. Maybe what I'm doing is useless. So you have to be strong enough to have your own belief system and not let it be limited.
One of the things that I've been hearing from more and more people, and I think it's that shift where there are so many ways to spam. And you said this, like, spamming out these applications, spam out your resume to all these recruiters, spam out invites on LinkedIn to people, spam out, emails or messages to everyone in your network. And what I've been seeing and what I've been hearing, I was just speaking to Ryan Johnson yesterday, and he said, you know what? I changed my whole mindset with LinkedIn. I had hired a company. They were going out there messaging. He said, and I got some stuff from it. He said, but now I am being very thoughtful in my approach to reaching out to people within my network, commenting, and then looking at the people who left comment and messaging them, again, thoughtful, really making sure that this is a good person, someone there's synergy, and just being really human. And he said, just doing that has made a huge difference. And in some ways, I think of it like the change from cold calling to emailing. And now it's almost like you can pick up the phone and call people because no one calls. So it's almost like you've got to do the opposite of what everyone else is doing.
I was just going to say, yeah, you got to zig when they zag. That's what you're speaking about. A really practical level is this always comes up. This is like your neck of the woods of the green open to work circle. You have like the camp that says, always put it up. And then you have the camp that says, actually do the opposite. A job market where everybody has it up, take yours off. If it's a really hot job market, put it on. So there is that qualitative and quantitative approach to both. And then there's the zigging and instead of zagging. I believe it too, because if you look at AI, the promise of AI in a job market or in contacting or marketing or whatever is reach a lot more people, less effort. I mean, I still see all these dumb videos. I had a friend send me this video, just some TikTok person on like trying to help freelancers. They probably didn't even do this. And I'm not hating, but I'm just saying that you see so much of this with AI. And they say, okay, here's what you do. I've gotten all of these clients on my own without doing anything at all. And here's what I do. I have a spreadsheet that I've linked up to AI. If I have any lead comes in, I've trained AI to speak just like me. And AI creates a response that's just like me for any of these leads that come in. And whatever they say, it responds exactly like me. And it will take them all the way to the close and actually close and make the sell. And I'm like, this is the biggest BS ever. Right point. Like, that's the dream that a lot of people I think are selling for job searching too. Is like, hey, just turn AI on, train to speak like you, and it's going to go out there and it's going to talk and have these conversations. It'll actually get you hired. And I think hiring managers have that dream too. Human beings adapt on both sides of the equation. Just like you can sense a spam message now at a much better than you can, let's say 20 years ago. You can sense an AI message now, right? Or you'll just automatically know that AI is out there. So you're like, I need to see you in person. Like, I need to talk to you by video at least, if not face to face, if not with multiple things to verify that you're real. So the guideposts kind of move, like people's understanding. And I think we've all had this epiphany. If you've ever been around somebody who hasn't been caught up, like, I don't know, like I'll just say a parent that I've seen like see something and they're like, this is real. This person messaged me. And I'm like, this is a spam message that's sent out, but they're not aware of the spam messages. So people adapt. And that's why this AI dream will never work. And that's why this blanketing of AI has broken, I think, the job board system. It's broken hiring and it's broken people's experience in the job market for sure.
And I think we're going to have to pivot so much more and so faster because of it. I mean, I just celebrated on LinkedIn how, I put down when as a public speaker, June of 2009. So this was my 15th year as a public speaker.
13
Hooray.
years.
Of course, I've been speaking prior to that, but that was just like the stick in the ground that I put on my
Yeah.
limb. At any rate, so I'm
Cool.
getting avalanched in these messages from people, congratulations, 15 years. The first message that I got had this really cute little message like, oh, hey, Donna, I see that you've gone around the earth one more time. And it was really cute. It felt very natural. And I responded to the person, hey, thanks so much. It's great what's going on in your world. And I didn't receive an immediate response or anything from this person. Then I got another 14 messages with the exact same message. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which tells me they're using some service and the service just plops in the exact.
Good. You're the parent in my story that didn't know it was spam. And then you learned, and now you know. And so what you're going to do now is you're going to be very on guard against these kind of like BS messages that aren't real. That's what I mean for now. Like, unless I see somebody's mentioning something that nobody could have really known about me, that's why you have to be so specific in a subject line, like so specific. Like if you're reaching out on LinkedIn, I mean, again, you're going to have way more strategies on this, but I'm always like, mention something they posted in their feed specifically, like or else they're going to think it's an AI message because it's too easy.
And it has to be their feed because they're already grabbing things from the profile, things that are stagnant.
Exactly.
They're grabbing already.
It's got to be. It's the only thing. So that's, and so we'll adapt to that, right? And then I'm guessing AI will eventually adapt to looking at people's feed, and then we'll have to adapt to something else to always differentiate ourselves as like, this was because it goes back to quality versus quantity. You have to show them like people value quality. If they know that you spent the time to send that message, particularly that resonates with the person. And if they think that if people recognize effort, that's what it is. That's all it comes down to. They recognize effort. Look how big online courses were 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because they recognize like, oh my God, there's so much effort to putting in this course and all this different stuff. But then it became easier and easier because of online tools. And so people just immediately have a course that's garbage. And so you can't, there's all these online, like Teachable, whatever else, where anybody can have an online course. And so it just democratized it. The effort disappeared. Unless it's very clear that this is something totally different. Like we see people in art, they go to the big, like the Tony Robbins, the Dean Graziosi guy, they do with the big circle and they have this huge, and so there's something you can see and you're like, oh, this takes more effort or more money or whatever. So if they can't see that and at a practical level in the job search, like you said, if they don't see you making a call, they know that's more effort.
Yeah.
If they know it's a message where you're mentioning things about the person deep in their past, a feed or whatever.
I believe that the introduction is going to become so much bigger now than ever before. And at one time, I'm sure you remember back in the day, introductions were really big on LinkedIn. You could ask for an introduction and you could, it was
like a little tool.
It was really embedded into the LinkedIn interface. And then they got rid of it. But now, if I'm going to introduce someone to you, Isaiah, you're going to take notice, right? I mean, it's because it's thoughtful. You know me, there's weight to that. And I think we're going to see, and anyone listening, start using those introductions. I mean, really start asking for them and maybe even spend some time to really craft an introduction for yourself that you can give to other people, right? Hey, this is how I'd like you to introduce me. Help me out here. I need these introductions. And I mean, I'm not saying, of course, not spamming, but, be really thoughtful and deliberate because I think that's what's going to get you through the door. That's what's going to get you noticed now because everything else is overwhelming.
And I think you're going to have to do that yourself. I mean, I think being very bullish on just human to human relationships and whatever, but I think now with AI, it's going to be necessary. And I don't think you can look to the tech platforms to necessarily help you with that because they're playing to the lowest common denominator. They want you to get on. That's why they have the easy apply button. Not because it works, but because it'll keep you on there and get premium and you feel like you can press that as many times as you want and you did something, you get a dopamine hit. That's why they test this stuff on kids, right? I mean, I'm just saying like you can use stuff to your advantage, but just because they're putting it in front of you doesn't mean it's the new way. LinkedIn's owned by Microsoft. I always try to remind people of this. Microsoft is pretty clear that they want to, basically turn humans into androids. I mean, in this one place, they want the tech. They're not there for the human-to-human relationships. They're really there to advance the tech. That's why they all but own OpenAI. Like, it's a partnership to avoid a monopoly, but they basically own OpenAI. So I keep telling people, like, LinkedIn and OpenAI, it's going to keep being like this. They want you to feel like you have to do no work, no effort. So you buy their service and it does all the AI for
And
you.
what are they doing? What are they selling? The hope and the dream, but not the solution.
It's true. No, and so my only point with this is, like, it's effort. So, like, you have to look for, like, where can I spend the most effort on something that's the highest impact where other people aren't doing it? And that is the cold call. That is the introduction. That's the deeper conversation.
Love it. Isaiah, always interesting. Thank you so much.
Made it happen. All right. Thanks, Donna.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.